Welcome to the Instinctive Influencers podcast, a show where influence becomes one of your tools for success. Now, here are your hosts, Brian Weber and Ed Haley.
Hi, I'm Brian, and welcome to the Instinctive Influencers podcast. Today, don't have James with me, but instead I have somebody else, somebody I've known his whole life. I'm pretty sure it's been his whole life. It looks very much like me, not as handsome, but we'll let that pass right now. Today I have Jeremy George Collins. He loves that middle name. I brought him on today because we'd have a wonderful conversation last week. We sat here and we talked over quite a few things, had some laughs, had some cries internally, and we just kind of, caught up. And then I thought, well, what better way to kind of describe his journey that he's been on and all the things that he's done up until now than to just say, let's do a podcast about it. And today's title is called Addictive Influence. Jeremy is my younger brother. You can't tell, but he is actually 2 years younger than me. And we were both born in Maine. He was born in Bangor versus I was born up in Presque Isle, Maine. But we've had quite a journey over the years. But before you are allowed to get any further into anything, Jeremy, what I'm going to ask of you, I got one question to ask of you. I told you I was going to throw a monkey wrench right off the bat. Here's the question. If you could help one person overcome addiction, what would you tell them to get them to start today?
I give them my number.
Why?
That way they can call me, because I believe that if you don't have somebody that you can confide in and that you truly trust, then you're not going to take the steps that are very, very necessary to get to the place you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a very lonely spot when you're in addiction. When I say lonely, I mean lonely. Like, you don't even know yourself. You don't.
Right.
And so if you have somebody that's on the side with you, helping you through that right off the rip, that I think that's the biggest spot, knowing that you can call me and I will do whatever it takes to help you. And if I can't, I'll find somebody that knows what you need. Reaching out is the number one thing. I think that's the number one thing.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Over the years, I've noticed, like, our relationship, you and I, it's been estranged at times, and at other times it's not. And I would often relate that, and we're gonna get into the story. We'll get into some of the details of things, to people so they understand what that means, right?
Right.
But some of the things that I noticed is, like, if I went for a long period of time where I didn't hear from you, I was like, well, what's going on,
Yeah.
And then I'd hear from you and be like, oh, he's probably clean. He's probably, things are probably okay, So, and that was obviously my telltale signs. Like, I would know. And it's like,
Right.
and being somebody, because I would think I have somewhat of an addictive personality, right?
Yes.
And because of my job, I have to be very careful what I like take into my body, things like that. But then there's the other types of addictions,
Right.
Symbolism is all the wonderful Batman stuff in the comic books that, like, I find an addiction to that. It brings, like, my wife, she calls it my happy place,
Right.
like, if I can go into a comic book store and spend like a couple hours just like fumbling through comic books, like, those are like, I get that, those hits of dopamine, those hit, all those things, and it helps me through. So could you, and I've never really, Jeremy, I'm gonna tell you, I've never really, like, dove into, like, my childhood much on the show, so it's a lot. It's a lot. So could you describe, say, our childhood with just a few singular words?
It was a prison. I think that's my first thought when you say that. When you're held and you're held in a singular spot and you don't have any telephone. He made sure of that,
Right.
and you don't have any he is the warden. You know what I mean? You do exactly what you're told, or you get the consequence. You know,
Yeah.
I think
Usually
that's
physically.
right, and
Yeah.
mentally,
Yeah.
Let's not
Yeah.
forget about that, because
Yeah.
that's a big piece of it. You know,
Yeah.
that I didn't realize that for a
Yeah.
long time.
Controlled me.
You
It
know,
controlled me psychologically up through my adult years.
right?
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
and that's the thing. And like it was literally, and another word I'd say is I think diamonds, right? Because they're made by pressure,
Right.
and that's all we've ever had. That's all we've ever had
Right.
is pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
A
so
lot of
that,
pressure.
right. And you know, I believe that that's made me strong enough to make it through what I had to. You know, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of good things in there too that you have to
Yeah.
that you have to dissect it so you can take them. You know, and I had to, just like you did. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. So you talk about the diamonds pressure, making something better, making someone better. On every week I get to speak to my formation of soldiers. We're upwards of over 500. It was funny this past week we did our battalion ball, and it's a ceremony you go through. Everybody gets together and you go through all these instances, and at the very end, instead of us doing a guest speaker, we didn't do a guest speaker this year. What we did is we allow the companies, each of our 4 companies, have soldiers come up and do skits, make fun of the chain of
that's
command, things like that.
awesome.
Hilarious. Two of the skits were kind of poking at me a little bit. Like,
Nice.
okay, but it was in a manner that I truly feel like, one, I laughed my butt off, like it was hilarious. But I often get in front of the soldiers and I'll speak about something. I'll talk about the water movement and how if you throw a pebble in that water and watch the ripples across, like I'll go into like metaphors and I'll try to create this motivational thought process. And they were doing that. And one guy was like talking about being a duck and, ducks are floating and they're trying to get through the water and all this. And it was funny, but I was like, you know what? I got through to them.
That's right.
Because they were listening. And it's sometimes, you kind of take from that, and we take that from our, like, so you and I, we take that from our childhood. When you look back at that childhood, and you described in just a couple words, and I actually thought you were going to come up with different words. No joke. So what you brought up was like, wow. So prison, diamonds, got it. When you take and you look back at our childhood, do you ever have questions?
I do.
Who are those questions for?
Wow. When I was younger, I'd always question God.
Yeah.
Why are you putting me through this?
Yeah.
When you see the things that we see when it happened,
Yeah.
it's hard to understand that it isn't God doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's so hard at that age, at 5, 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
that God's not doing this. It's
it's
an evil demon that's doing this.
Yeah.
And so, but then I have a question. I could never put my kids through that.
Right.
I couldn't. Man, I do everything possible to keep my kids away from harm. You know?
Yeah.
But then, but when you're put into that as another parent, as a mom, okay, let me say this. You're in that mix too, though.
Yeah.
She was not, Brian, when you're a young person, 22, you have 4 kids, you've already left a previous relationship that you got beat on, and then you move with this man.
I think she had Tracy at 24.
Okay, yes.
So
okay,
that would
go.
be
24.
So from 18 to 24, she had 4 children. That's
right.
That's a lot. It's a lot to take on, right?
Right. And so
I couldn't imagine.
Me neither. I have 2, and I didn't have any kids until I was 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just,
yeah.
I don't, and I've never blamed mom, and I never would, because she
Right.
was in it too. But
Oh yeah.
in my mind, it's why, and then, but why not though? Now I
Hmm.
think today,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
why not me?
Hmm.
Because I'm very, I'm very proud of who I am now,
Yeah.
and I'm very proud that I can help somebody, hopefully, that
Yeah.
maybe has maybe has been through the same stuff and is scared to talk to somebody in a tie and whatever. They look at
Mhm.
me, I'm full of tattoos. Maybe I can get through to them and say, listen, I've been through it. You can see that I'm like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so maybe.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, you mentioned like, oh, I couldn't blame him. I went through years where I did. I went through years where, and I've disconnected from that side of the
Hmm.
family very
Hmm.
much. And it's not, and it was really for me, it was like I had to create a separation internally
Yeah.
and externally, and doing so it helped me have some clarity, but it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to come over. Like in what you said, that made a lot of sense. It's like I have my own children, and it's you look at them and you think, how could somebody have treated little
Any
kids? I
kid.
mean, and I'm not
Right.
like we weren't good kids either. Like we
Well,
were, we were,
hold
we
on.
w- there were some times where we did
Listen.
some really bad things,
But
like
why did we do it though?
yeah, acting
Because we
out, reaching out.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
mean,
get it.
when you're ruled by fear,
Yeah.
I've learned this. I've
Yeah.
learned this too, and it's funny. When you're ruled by fear, what do? You put that into the person that you're ruling, and
Yeah.
so therefore, like for instance, I was this is just for an instance. I was always told if you tell the truth, you don't get the consequence. Okay,
Yeah. We were a lot.
man, I
Uh,
always told the truth, and I still got it.
oh yeah, yeah.
So
Or
what do you mean?
it won't
Right.
be as bad if you tell the truth. Well, I wonder what it would have felt like because that was pretty bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so I mean, and so that made me mad. So what did I do to make myself feel better? I grabbed a a hammer and I went and smashed out the um the um the bottom of the house.
Yeah.
So the
Or
cinder.
or or you ran inside and you said, "Hey, Brian was swinging an axe at me," and
Right.
then Brian gets beat for it. I guess
Because I
it's
couldn't.
not like people listening. We're not crazy. Like this is not. These are things that actually happen.
Right.
Some of it. But yeah, like things happen. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like there were times I think it's like the acting out and doing crazy stuff.
I was
And
so mad at you for a long time
yeah,
because I didn't get to use that axe.
yeah, yeah. So, so people understands we were supposed to be clearing out this field area and there's little trees and we had a little axe. It was just a little hatchet and it
Hatchet, man.
was a hatchet. It
I'm
wasn't
so
like
excited to use it though.
yeah, but so I had the hatchet and here I'm the one cutting down little trees because I'm the older one. So I'm gonna and I'll give it to you when I get done. I want to get tired first, so we're cutting it down. And I wouldn't give it to him, so he runs inside and tells that I wouldn't let him use it and I was swinging it at him or something. I don't know. I don't know the exact words. Well,
I don't either.
and then within hours I had lots of whelps and bruises
All the way up and down. Yeah.
from the base of my neck to the
And
top
what
of
was
my
it?
knees. So
48 hours later, we're heading to Maine.
we were, yep. Our mom left and took off. So,
But
but
Ben,
so you look at those things, right? And I asked the question, like, what are the questions? So let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to you, as an adult child, because that's what I would consider like some of the actions that took place. I mean, um, what is addiction to you? What is addiction?
um, addiction. To me, it's been addiction's been a long, long friend. I'll say. Okay. You know how
Hmm.
friends can be really bad sometimes, really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
but then you can have really good friends. Okay.
Right.
And so now it's almost like a friend to me, a good friend, because I'm able to see the goodness in it. Before, it's like it was the worst friend because it always had a hold of you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the captain of my body. I was just a crewmate for a
Mm-hmm.
long time. I didn't have my willpower at that point. It had everything. It took everything from me. You know, and so for a long time, many years, many years, it literally ran my life, and it made me a person that I never wanted to be. You know, and did things that I would never have dreamed I would do. And now on the other side, though, it's doing things that I never dreamed I would do.
Right.
So it's like I said, it's like a friend.
Yeah. So thinking about that way you said that, you're kind of saying that like addiction's not the bad part; it's what you're addicted to is the bad part.
Exactly.
Could
That's
be,
exactly
or
right.
yeah.
Exactly right. Because
So
I mean, you can have great addictions. You can have great addictions, and you can have really bad addictions.
yeah.
So you have to understand where that lies. And then great addictions can be bad addictions. You have to understand. Like, if you keep, it's all about doing things in moderation for me now, because I don't know how to do it in moderation. Anything I do, and you know this, is all out.
100%.
That's just who I am. And I don't think about nothing. I fly by the seat of my pants. That's who I am. My brother is the complete opposite. Complete opposite. He's got to have. He's got to have. Okay, this is there's a plan right here, and then it's plan A, and then plan A B, and then plan A B C, and then he's got 18 plans for every single thing he's doing, just in case. Just in case.
And then another 18 if those ones fail.
Right, exactly. So, and me, I'm saying, okay, I'm ready to go. Here we go. I'm not even thinking about anything. Anything. So,
yeah.
That's
it seems that's we are the yin and yang. I would definitely say
are.
that when it comes to things like that. And flying by that seat of the pants, allowing addiction to control your life and being addicted to the wrong things. When we'll get into that in just a moment, and I'm kind of thinking like I'm trying to I want to relate things to today's atmosphere things. One of the things to me that we can see every day is this device, this cell phone, this
that right there.
This is
social
a massive
media, man.
It's a
Evil.
massive addiction, and it's knowing how to control that, right? Like and stepping away, being mindful. I'm really big. Actually, I was going to talk about that this morning at church is mindfulness. Mindfulness and how we have to be in the moment. And I would obviously kind of relate that to maybe your addictions over the years, like the things that you were indulging in. How mindful were you of that moment where you felt you knew what was going on, or is it just like what you said there, where you're just flying by the seat of your pants and it's like, oh,
I knew what was going on. I just couldn't stop. I could not stop. I knew. That's the thing. I knew what I was doing, and it was eating me up. So I have a thing inside that I will beat myself up worse than anybody. I will drive myself. I will push myself. I will make. I mean, the only lobster I ever seen before I started fishing was red lobster. Okay. And I became one of the best spearmen on that island.
That's not real lobster. That's not real lobster. Yeah.
Lobster.
Yeah.
Lobster, Bob.
Yeah.
So, and so it was a thing that pushed me, and then once you get there, you're like, oh man, this is great. This is great. Here we go. And then that little addiction bug comes and grabs you. And fishing was a hard thing when you're offshore and you're beating the crap out of yourself. I mean, and you come in, you play hard,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go back out. There's no time for that dry out period, I guess, because it's constantly. You've got to have it to go. You got to have it to, when you get
Are you
in.
talking about the energy to move and just
Right.
get things done?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so I have the energy. So how do I get down though? How do I come down? That's how I was thinking in my head. Well, I can just use this just a little bit just to come down so I can go to sleep. So that way I can get them 2 hours and then get back up and go.
Right.
That's how it started.
Right.
I thought I was trying to numb the pain I was feeling.
Right.
But I wasn't being true to myself at all. That's what it really was.
Yeah.
And when that pain keeps growing, well, so does that substance. You know what I mean? And that pain, you're trying to knock that pain down because it's trying to come up. It's trying to rear its ugly head to be dealt with, but you're like, no, sorry, bud, you're going back down here. So that was a game that you played, and then you start seeing people die all around you, and you're wondering, man, what am I next?
Yeah, and when people don't realize it, you're living in Maine, like it's not like there's a large capita of people, but of the amount, there's a lot of people doing the things that they shouldn't be doing, right? They destroying
the whole
their
island.
bodies.
So I was on the island for a long time,
right?
And that island didn't have a lot of people on it, but the people all did the same thing. They all fished, and then alcohol addiction ran hard, drug addiction ran hard, food addiction ran hard down there.
Overindulging in food.
You know what I'm talking about. The man me and you worked for, Bobby, he was a great man, but he had that addictive personality where just like I do, just like you do, but he pushed him. He learned how to make it push him. He made a business out of nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was addicted to money and food.
Right. And he pushed himself, and that's the thing. It's like, if you can use your addiction for good, why not? You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to now, is I'm trying to turn that around and be that person that can be called, that is bringing that energy, that way people want to do it. Because if you're not having fun in addiction, what's the sense? You know what I mean? You can't just live the rest of your life in misery. No, because you already lived most of it there. You know,
if you've been living in that way, yeah. So and you can answer this through a spectrum of answers, like from early on to now. So how has addiction influenced you think?
Okay, when I was younger, let's start off in high school. We'd go to parties, and I was able to buy alcohol at a young age at a certain store that I could go in and walk in. My brother didn't believe me. He was like, no way you're going to be able to do this. I said, just wait, bud. I walked in, bought it, walked out. And so therefore, I got off fast with the drinking, real fast.
Yeah.
When it's readily available, and so, and it made me feel cool that I could do that, and so that drove it right there. Boom. The my ego addiction, man, it's huge, because when your ego's been beat down as a kid for so long, right? Then you finally get that taste of that. Oh, that's awesome. That feeling.
Yeah.
You want that with so much. Yeah. So therefore, you keep doing the things that makes you feel good. Well, then things are bad for you. And all of a sudden, you don't understand as a kid that it's getting a hold of you.
Yeah.
And I messed my shoulder up in high school. and they did a surgery on it, so therefore they were handing me oxys, and
Mm-hmm.
man, I remember taking that pill, and everything just made it better. I mean, I could work harder, I could run harder, I could hit harder.
Yeah.
Man,
You
I
didn't
gotta
feel
have
as
more of
much.
them,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so therefore your brain starts going, and then influences to say, man, if you get more of that, you're going to be a better athlete. You're going to be, and
Yeah.
my stinking thinking was just terrible. It was just,
Stinking thinking.
yeah, that's right. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because it tells you to do something and you believe it, and man, I run with it. I don't think about the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought about them. But if you do, you know that it's only going to end two places now for me. That's it. Either death or I'm going to be in prison.
Right.
And I'm being influenced now to stay away from that, because I want to live my life. I want to be the person God wants me to be. You know what I mean? And now I'm being influenced by him, and like we talked earlier, you can be influenced and addicted to the word and go the other way too.
Yeah.
So
So when you let me because you kind of you really hit upon like your addictions and stuff there, and I think you've kind of opened my eyes a little bit of what, because you don't frame addiction as a just a singular bad item. It can be bad, indifferent, good, all these areas. So now I have to read, because I had prepared a question earlier for you, and I'm like, oh well, I got to fix this question, because I'm not looking at it as just the one thing that it is. It's actually multiple things. So what pulled you from those struggles of the bad addictions? That would be my question.
well, what pulled me to
Pulled you from those struggles of the bad. So what was, and obviously we haven't talked about, like you mentioned alcohol, you mentioned oxy. I know we used to smoke weed back in the day. You
meth,
math, yeah, all these things.
heroin.
What? Oh, yeah. What pulled you? What stops you from putting a needle in your arm? What stopped you from
I'm
putting
glad you just said that.
a pipe to your mouth? What
So,
like what was that instance that's like, oh, I'm addicted?
you want to know what that is? So, a year, almost a year and a half ago, that's all I've got clean right now is 17 months. I'm happy for it. Oh, I've had other spots that I've had clean time, but I wasn't working on myself at all. I wasn't working on problem.
Right.
But so
you were just avoiding it. You weren't working on who you
exactly
needed to be. Okay.
Exactly. And I didn't realize how much hate had to do with it, but I'll get back to that. Because that's a big spot. But a year and a half ago, I went to the laundromat, and my son jumped in the car with me. And I'm in the laundromat, and I open up my pants and put them in, and there was a bag of dope there. And at that point, I had like 4 days. Okay, there's a bag of dope there, and I promised myself I wasn't going to do that dope. No, I'm going to throw that away. I went to the bathroom to throw it away, and I threw it right up my nose. So I have my son with me. My house is about 3 minutes down the road from the laundromat. By the time I got out of that bathroom into the car, turned around the corner, I caught an OUI with my son in my car.
Yeah.
That was like when I realized.
You said an OUI?
Yeah, operating.
Oh, under influence. Okay, so like a DUI.
Or
okay,
DUI.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. That's what it's called up here in Maine,
Yeah.
is an OUI.
Right.
But that right there, I promised myself I would never put my kid in the same position that I was in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did I do? I did the same. I almost swore.
Woo! Look at him.
I
Look at
caught
him
myself, man.
Look at him keeping
This is it.
his
This is big
his
time.
internal voice internal.
Yeah. And so I caught myself.
Yeah.
I said, why are you doing this? What is going on with you?
Yeah.
And why can't you throw that away? What was the power that it had that you couldn't say no? Like, what is going on? And it really made me take a look inside in my heart and actually and in my head, but my heart. And I allowed I didn't go to any programs or nothing for the first year.
Right.
I literally went to my counselor and hate was killing me. Hate was burning me from the inside out. Okay. And so I have to back up a little bit.
Okay.
When I was well, I guess LJ's my son. I guess when he was about 8, I could see my actions going on to him. So I was so mad. I hated everything. And I hated a certain person the most. Right?
You're right.
Our stepfather. Or not, I can't even say that. My mother's husband.
Yeah.
That almost like threw me over the edge too.
Yeah.
But I hated him with everything I had. I mean, it was burning me up from inside and killing me. And I didn't realize that. And I had a wonderful counselor named Monique that took me on and was so patient with me. And I put her through hell for the first year because I didn't trust her. So why am I going to come in here and bare my soul to somebody I don't trust?
Right.
But she stuck it out. And I did too. Did that hard work. And instead of seeing hate in my son, I started seeing love in my son. You know? And so that's the beginning of.
Are you saying how you're projecting? Like, the way you're showing it, he's also showing it?
Right. Okay. My actions are rubbing off on him. Now he's acting that way. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah.
And when I see that, because I don't want, right. I don't want my son to have to feel what I feel.
Right.
You know? So I want to do something to change that because, man, in my head, it's been a crazy thing to deal with. And at first, that's what I was trying to do is make the voices and everything shut off. Making the memories shut off. Pushing them down. And when you start letting that out too, that's a very, very tender and scary spot because you can go one or two ways. You can either go way to the left or way to the right. Say, I'm going to be completely done, or you're going to go medicate yourself. And I medicated myself because it kept the things that I kept bringing up and reliving them. They were really like just, they're beating me down. And I just, man, like why? And I kept saying, why? And the Lord actually started coming into my life then. He was always in my life, but when you shut the door on him, he says, okay, I'll wait. That's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, as a kid, I used to get, Brian, I think we can agree that I got the most out of anybody.
Well, I mean, I would certainly say that you just didn't know how
because I acted the most.
Yeah, I would consider it. Like if I was to describe this, I would say you didn't care what happened. So you just did what you wanted to, where I was constantly observant.
Always.
And
you're always like
calculative and yeah, like
and I figured it's gonna happen anyways. So I'm done being scared. I'm so tired of being scared. I'm just gonna have fun. I'm tired of it because he would literally make us sit there and wait all day for a punishment. Yeah. And so Brian would literally be freaking out about it. And I would be, you know what, man? Let's just do this. Who cares?
Yeah, anxiety likes to live in me.
It does still, bro.
It still does.
See, and the thing is, like I see that in you as a kid, and I wanted you to be happy. So that's why I always took that on and said, like, you know what? No, bro, we can have fun. And like I wanted you to feel that because I've seen it all through you. And we've been so close that we were meshed in with each other, man.
Biggest thieves.
And we were, brother. And I loved it. You know, it was the best feeling of my life. And it was great because I knew that I could count on you. You know? And and if I didn't have you, there's no way I could have made it through. No way. You know what I mean? And
I think you'd have found a different way. You know what I mean? Like, because now I think about these addiction, you know, and it's like, okay, well, you're addicted to the relationship, you know, you maybe, and that's what kept you going, you know, like, because I don't think it just started, right? Like, I think it's built up over the years.
Well, I mean, so addiction, okay, if so LJ, my son, his mom's an addict and I'm an addict. So he has a 97% chance to be an addict. Yeah. Because it's hereditary. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, I already see it in him playing video games. Like, man, what are you doing? Up all night, you know? And so I got to be mindful of that and make sure that I try to help him on his way, you know, because we can all, like I said, addiction is just a part of life. It really is. And whether we're going to allow it to be our life or just a part of life. You see what I mean?
Right.
Forever, it was my life. Like, I'd get scared to call you because I knew that you would know. Yeah. And even if I didn't call you, there's still a chance that you still thought that I was all right. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, because you could tell no matter what.
It's funny you say that because on my side of things is if you weren't calling me, then I knew you were on something.
Yeah.
If you were calling me, I knew you were clean. I've told my wife that 100 times. Like and that was how I knew. Okay, well, he's not calling me. I'm gonna let him do his thing, and hopefully, you know, pray for him. Everything goes okay, and he makes it through this. You know,
your prayers work, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, but you know, the long distance, and then and I made a joke about this earlier. It was just, you know, I was joking. It's like I think I've had probably 100 phone numbers of yours. Like I never know when to call. So the only time I would talk to you is if you called me, because I'd see a 207. I'd be like, oh, that's a main number. It's probably my brother. I don't know who's. And it's like, I think this phone number you got right now is probably the longest you've had in a while.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So instead of just blocking people, I'd always throw my phone overboard, like because I didn't want to do it no more.
Because you don't want to talk to those people. Yeah.
Right. I was just tired of it. And so I throw my phone overboard, knowing that I couldn't do it. And what do? I get in, go buy a new one, and I still call them people. You know,
those same people. Yeah.
So that's how desperate I was, though, right there. You see how desperate that is? Like, really? Like, that's so desperate.
That is.
You know, but I wasn't seeing it. That wasn't desperate to me. I'm still ready to go. You know?
Yeah.
And then, man, like my counselor, I've had 3 counselors now, and they all worked really well, you know?
Yeah.
And so it makes me feel that
cell phone
really good
off there, buddy.
I know, I'm trying to find it. My dog's saying,
it's his theme music here back there. Yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying. Like those counselors helped you through those situations. obviously you've had to do a lot of internal depth, internal like seeking, and you're actually like, and we're gonna get into a little bit, like you're actually doing a lot of things, because right now you have an injury right now that's
Yes, sir.
causing you these pains, that you can't, and you're trying to avoid taking
Yep.
medication for said injuries, and you've got to get some type of operation done. But you're finding other means to help kind of get you through. Like, you have an upper body injury. So you're like, okay, well, I have to do something physically with my lower
Right.
body then, right? Like you're not allowing those excuses, which, and
Right.
that's, I look at that as, I look up to that. I think that is, that's an outstanding way. You know, I wish I could introduce you to so many people that I've met, through my years, in the service that, you know, they have like, maybe they stub their toe and it's like, oh, I can't do anything with my body. And instead, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I hurt my shoulder and my shoulders hurt real bad. But you know what? I'm not going to stop.
Right.
Like my shoulder doesn't affect how my feet move, right? Like I
Exactly.
can move my feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pursue X, Y, Z, right?
Right.
So with that, and we're going to get into your little journey that you're on right now. And I wouldn't call it little, I'd actually call it rather huge by the numbers I've been seeing you put out. So what do you want to do to help those with addictions? Because, and I have to maybe stop that right there with bad addictions. Now that you've opened my eyes to addiction's not a horrible thing, it's just what we do with it.
Right.
So what do you want to do to help those with those bad addictions to help them overcome?
So my plan is to really, I'm going to figure out a way to it's hard to put out what I'm trying to say here. I'm going to start walking the United States for addiction, because we're losing so many people through addiction and soldier suicide. Them two things are devastating us as Americans. They're devastating. and sometimes they go hand in hand, them two things, you know. And for soldiers, I'm not a soldier, but I have a brother that is a soldier, and I have a lot of family members that are soldiers, and they mean more to me than anything. So I think that civilians need to be reaching out and helping our soldiers. They have to.
Yeah.
Man, who else is going to? I understand they're battle buddies, but we're here. Why can't we reach out and help and do something about this?
Right.
You know, and if in every state, I'm going to walk and do this, and maybe as I'm going through each state, stop and talk with these people that are on the verge of maybe coming into the into the light, and making sure that they understand that God always has their back. That even in the darkest spots that I was in some dark spots, brother.
Yeah.
God had me.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was ask. When I say that my desire was stronger than my fear of losing anything, is so true. But when you say, Lord, take that away from me, he did. I mean, he literally grabbed it and took it out of my body. And but you can't just say that and not mean it. You have to mean it. And you have to be willing to do what he says to do too. You can't say, please take it out of my body. And then when he says, Jeremy, I want you to do this. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. Like, come on. So all this, and I feel if I can be walking through these towns, small towns, big cities, and them understand that no matter what, they can come talk to me, give them my number, and whatever they need to do, them steps that I'm taking literally on that road, they can take with me, and they can help me, and I can help them, because that's the key, is helping each other. If we don't help each other, then we're not going to make it. If I don't help somebody, I'm not going to be sober. I'm not going to continue to be sober. I'm not.
Mhm.
And I've already seen that because I'm at a year. Like when I was at a year, I was like, man, what's my next step? What am I going to do? How am I
Right.
going to, because I've been in counseling, like I said. So
Yeah.
2 of my counselors are human and the other one is the Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I said I had 3, because he is one of my counselors. And
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
happy to say that, because if we don't, like I said, listen to him, then
Right.
we're not doing his will. And
Right.
I'm not continuing to get better,
Mhm.
because I've tried everything. I've tried the drugs that help you do things, and they still couldn't keep me off it. You understand?
Oh,
The
yeah.
only thing that can keep me off of drugs, only thing,
Yeah.
is God and myself, and being open to the suggestions
Yeah.
of other people.
Right.
Because it's only suggestions. You don't have to do it. You
Yeah.
just have to hear it and say, is that going to work for me? And if it don't, great. But if it does,
Yeah.
be willing to give it away.
Yeah.
Right?
So in what you're saying there is to, like, a lot of times people, they do want to try to tackle this alone, and
Yeah.
it feels as like he's like, yeah, hey, I can't do this by myself. I need the help, right? Like, and too
Suboxone
often,
didn't
what's
help.
that?
For me, Suboxone didn't help. Didn't keep
Yeah.
me off it. Methadone helped me, but then you're just training one for another. Okay.
Right.
But
Right.
listen though. Methadone will save some people's life. I
Right.
get that. I'm not saying
Yeah. Right.
don't take that, please. But what I'm saying, for me, I'm a very addicted person. And so if I'm taking something that I know it can mess me up, I'm going to take more of it, no matter what.
Right.
That's
Right.
who I am. I
Uh-huh.
can, I, if there's, a, thing of, I was just saying this earlier, a cold medicine, you know, am I going to go get that Robitussin? No, I'm just going to go get a cough drop, because that Robitussin is going to mess me up, because I'm going to drink the
Right.
whole bottle. Okay. I'm not
Right.
just going to take a little sip. I'm going to drink the
Yeah.
whole bottle. I know
Right.
me. So I went and got some cough medicine. I mean, some, cough drops.
Right.
So that's the difference,
So,
and really
mhm.
opening your eyes to your situation, being all right with who you are, because I'm great with who I am. I'm actually love who I am now. Never did. It was a long time that I didn't like who I was. I lied.
Yeah.
Man, I was the worst. Brian, you know this. I was the worst liar you'd ever meet. I wouldn't lie. I just lied to
Horrible.
make things up. Just to
Yeah.
make not nothing, but just to make things. I'm talking something could be completely, and I would make something up about it.
Yeah.
I'm the best storyteller you've ever heard.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this.
You should take up storytelling.
I'm
It'd be
going to.
great.
That's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, because I've been
Yeah,
doing it
you
my whole
should.
life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I mean, and literally, I would come up with some stories that are just, are you kidding me?
Outlandish. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what that was my insecurities. My
Right.
insecurities coming through. Like literally, I would lie about the simplest things. The simplest. I'm saying
I
something that I had
remember.
no need of lying over.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
that started from when you were told, okay, you tell the truth, nothing's going to happen. You tell the truth, nothing's going to happen. But if you don't tell the truth, you're going to get beat. Or you tell the truth and you still get beat, well, you start lying, because that becomes your defense mechanism. You
Yeah.
change schools 5 times before your half year in kindergarten. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you lie because you're trying to fit in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When everybody says, listen, we'll take Brian, but we're not taking Jeremy.
Yeah.
You start lying, as a kid, and luckily that they kept us together, because
Yeah. So for the most part, right? There
right.
was a few months here and there that
Yeah.
we were separated, but
Yeah, right. Because of me.
it's not. I think it's because of the situation, and I think it's
What I was
because
doing.
yeah, it's just And
So
I was good at hiding things, and you
yeah,
weren't. So
right. Because I just it got to I don't know why, but I've always said, you know what? Uh, as a young kid, I can remember thinking and having the brain capacity to say,
mhm,
man, this ain't right. Okay, this ain't, I know it ain't. I know this ain't. And
mhm.
it's funny because I still have the same brain capacity. This ain't saying much that I did back then. Okay.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah,
What I'm saying is
right,
knowing what's right and wrong.
right,
I knew what was right and wrong.
right.
And when you're showed you do this and you know it's wrong and you know it's wrong,
Mhm.
but you're told to do this, that's a hard thing to swallow as a kid. When you know in your heart that something's
Mhm.
wrong,
Mhm.
but you're being told that it's right. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
don't do this, but then you see them doing it. You know
Right.
what I mean? Don't, so that was a hard thing for me to let go. And
Yeah.
then when I sat and I said, you know what, it's time to get real. And sitting in front of my family and admitting that I was the biggest liar in the world helped me become a truth
Mhm.
teller instead of a
Yeah.
liar. You know,
Right.
and seeing my son take that same trait, it started scaring me
Right.
because I'm like, LJ, you don't have to lie, brother. And I had the same feelings as
Right.
I did when I was a kid. So I understood him. So I
Yeah.
was able to help him with that. And so kids are sponges and they act exactly what they see,
You're right.
and we're lucky, bro. We're very lucky because Grandpa George was a good sponge for us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
He's a good influence for our sponge. Yeah.
you see what I mean?
Yep.
Um, and then the reason I'm not dead or in jail right now or in prison was because of Grandpa Ed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I knew what he was saying was right, even though that he had his own demons.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
But we all do. But when you move with a police officer, and I was sent away, and people don't understand that where I was sent, it wasn't a very good place. Okay. It just, as a kid at 10 years old, and you're there with 15, 16, 17-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing was, I wasn't scared of them because I knew that they couldn't do anything to me that I hadn't already been done.
Yeah.
So I had that in my body as you're not gonna hurt me any more than him. So F you. That was
Yeah.
my attitude at 10
Yeah.
years old. So how do
Yeah.
you think that went over?
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
then we were taught because he was a bigot, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I had a different thoughts on colors, right?
Right.
Well, my best friend ended up being a colored person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it was like I knew that was wrong, and
Yeah.
when you finally break that all down, it's it's a basically it's a when you morph something up, like, right, in like a pile of clay, right, and then I say morph it, but you, like a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, you make it into whatever you need it to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what we were. We were being morphed into something, but we took our pottery and our clay ourselves and we allowed the right people to morph us.
Yeah.
See what
Absolutely.
I mean?
No,
Because
I
we
know.
could have allowed Jonathan, we could have followed them steps, which
Yeah.
I was, but I said that ain't what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
So
definitely say, I definitely would agree with you. I think yeah, you did follow the steps. I think you lived that life. I think you probably went beyond what they were doing. But then you found obviously, what brought you back, your situation and whatnot. And then you're looking at this adventure that you're on, but right now you're up to, I mean, I know you're up to like 80 miles a week that you're putting in to
yep.
just training up to getting your body used to, excuse me, long distances.
Mhm.
Um, because obviously you send me a message usually
every
once
day.
or twice a day. You've done your walks and stuff, and you're doing some Bible studies while you're walking type thing. But it's just, it is impressive. I would certainly say that I feel like you've traded. Now I look at it, you've traded a bad addiction for a good addiction.
Yeah,
How am I
that's what I
hurting my
have to do.
body? How can I better my body?
And I think I'm glad you said that, because I think that's very important. I think
Mhm.
that's very important. This whole thing is actually taking, if you're taking something away, you have to put something in. That was the
Right,
problem that I wasn't doing. Every
right,
time I went to get sober, I wasn't replacing it with anything. It was just an
right,
empty, hollow spot in me. And it
right.
felt like I was dying. It felt
Yeah,
like I was dying because the fun in my life, everything was gone. Even though
right.
that being messed up was the worst time of my life, I still,
Yeah, yeah.
it's so messed up. But then when I said, you know what, you've got to trade it, you've got to do something different. Well,
Mhm.
let's do this. I mean, 44 years or 42 years, I tried it this way. Well, the Lord opened my eyes and he said,
Yeah,
try this. And I just took a little nibble at first. I did. But man, I couldn't wait to sit down for the feast. It was like,
yeah,
here we go. Here we go.
yeah, yeah,
And I've never been excited about recovery. Now I am, because I
yeah,
understand what it is. It isn't
yeah.
a death. It's a rebirth. It's
Right.
truly a rebirth. And
Yeah,
and when you take back your will, the point you
yeah,
take back your will,
yeah,
that was the most exciting point in my life when I
yeah,
said, I got it back now. And
yeah.
when I get my mind to something, just like you, I'll die before I let that happen. And now I
Mhm.
have my will back. And
Mhm.
I took that will, but now I gave it to God. And it's
Mhm.
all right. Because when you give your will to God, you still have it,
Mhm.
because He's doing the
Yeah,
best thing for you.
yeah.
And like that's the difference of giving your will to this drug that
Mhm.
is your God. And you know
That's good.
what?
Yeah,
That drug is your God when you're on it. I don't care what anybody says, because
yeah,
you're doing everything you can every single moment of your existence for that.
yeah, yeah.
It's what happens. And
It's
and anybody that doesn't think that, well, they haven't seen my addiction,
yeah,
because when
yeah,
I go, I'm a monster. I'm not
yeah,
even close to the person that's sitting here. I
yeah,
mean, I am a monster. And
yeah, yeah,
I now am a gentle man.
yeah,
And I'm learning to be a gentleman, you know?
yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. And I'm excited for that, because now I get to show my son what this is. Now I get to show the people in my community that I can be a productive part of this whole problem. Because that's what
Mhm.
it is. It's a community problem. Okay. We've
Mhm.
got to start shutting our eyes to it. We have to. It needs to be, we all come together as one, no matter what, because
Mhm.
we are all humans, we're all people, and we all have problems. You can have addiction, you can have shopping, you can have eating, you can have whatever it is. We can help somebody else with
Yeah.
their problem.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's a we, this is a we thing, not a me thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that's what it is. I spent all weekend at a conference that I never would have went to. Okay. And I'm sitting here going to these conferences, trying to learn about what's going on. So that
Mhm.
way, when I have a question, I can
Mhm.
answer it. And I
Right.
can know that I don't have to make up a story, an elaborate story, but I
Mhm.
can tell them an elaborate story that's true about
Mhm.
God, about Jesus, about
Mhm.
saving this guy right here. Of man, I had no right to be saved. I
Mhm.
didn't.
Mhm.
And when he blessed me and said, you know what? I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. He did that once before in my life. And then I turned my back on him.
Mhm.
But because I got mad. I got mad at a situation. I lost a child, and I thought it
Mhm.
was his fault.
Mhm.
And it destroyed me. And it
Yeah.
really, like, because I wanted to be a dad because I never had one. Like that's
Right.
always been something to me, is being
Right.
a dad. And I think you can contest that I've always been a pretty damn good dad, even though I was messed up, but I was always there. I was there as much as I could be for my kids.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but
toughest job I've done in life so far.
Right. And you've had one of the hardest, but
Yeah.
being a dad is a beautiful job, though.
Yeah.
He's like our Father in heaven. We don't always make him happy, but he taught me, I know how I love my son, so I know he loves me. And when you're guaranteed, when you're guaranteed a spot in heaven, and you're, man, really? Sure. Okay. I've never been guaranteed anything good. Okay. I'm guaranteed to go home and be all right. So now I'm going to do what I can to make sure others understand that. Because when I heard that I was covered in just grime, and I was a dirty fisherman, just like a few of the disciples, and it was funny because when I learned that I didn't have to have that as a king, and I could have him as a king, and it's the same feeling though, but better. Okay, that feeling of comfort, that feeling of want, that feeling of need, that feeling of just betterness and love. I've never felt before until now, and it's funny. I'm not with anybody. I'm a single person and happy to be single, but I'm married to God. Like and I've never been able to be alone my whole life, ever, because I was scared. Yeah. And that was another one of my addictions, was being for
bad relationships
and picking bad people. Like not bad people for me. I'm not bad. Right. I want to make sure I say that.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's understandable.
And so even when people say, don't do it, don't you dare marry her. And I said, don't tell me what to do.
Is there anybody in the room here now that have said that to? No, I'm sure.
I said, don't you dare tell me what to do. Yeah. And so it pushed me to do it. Yeah. And listen, it's funny because I literally went down to the courthouse, got a paper, went out and had some justice of the peace guy marry us, and then I went fishing. Literally. That's what happened. Okay, so
yeah, and that's something else.
Yeah, and I don't even remember doing it. Okay.
Yeah,
put that there too.
Yeah.
So, and it isn't an easy. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy to come from the throes of addiction to stopping. Boom. You know what? I did that to my body. I had to feel the impact that I did to my body to understand.
Yeah.
The consequences of my actions. And it's not easy. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a great thing when you do, when you get past that. And because you can. I promise you, just reach out. You can. There's nothing saying that you're damned the rest of your life to that. Nothing.
Yeah.
There's actually things saying that you can get help, no matter who you are. I don't care what there's always help. And for me, that's a big thing because I never wanted to take it. I always thought I could figure it out. I went and took to be a CADC, a drug and alcohol counselor. I went and took all the classes except for one, so I could figure out my brain. I mean, that's how, it just, because I was like, man, why can't I stop? Why can't I?
Yeah.
And I kept asking myself that, but I never voiced it because I didn't want it out. But everybody seen my actions, so they knew.
Yeah.
But sorry, I get on rants,
No, you did fine. You did fine. I do appreciate, truly do appreciate you wanting to do this with me today. I know I brought it up last week after we had a conversation. And I was like, you know what? I think I think other people should hear a little bit about this story. Like we didn't even I mean we didn't even scratch the surface of things. There are
No.
so many things we could like if you and I we've been conversing back and forth and we've talked about like you've been writing you've been in a sense writing your book,
Yep.
and you've sent me pieces of it and I did some editing to help out and then send it back to you and I've been doing my own on the same side. So like one day that book the huge books, they're going to be gargantuan with all the stuff that we can put in it and the emotions and the actions and stuff. So
And
but
that's huge.
this
So if we have people to feel that, though,
yeah
they
exactly.
need to.
And knowing and the thing is on our part is knowing that we aren't alone. There are others who feel exactly the same thing, went through probably the exact
Worse.
same pains and worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
But going through this conversation with you about addictive influence, obviously the Instinctive Influencers podcast it's a leadership thing. However, I think like what you're describing is we're trying to lead others away from those harmful addictions and into more healthful addictions.
I think you just hit on that, though. I really do. What you just said.
Yeah.
It's a leadership thing, okay? And when you've been through this, so you're getting a doctorate in school,
Yeah.
I got a doctorate in addiction, bro. Like I've lived this life.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a long
I'd like
time.
to read that dissertation.
Yeah.
The interviews, all the surveys that you did. Yeah.
And so, I've lived that, and, and so it's, I kind of think it's my responsibility to take what I know and help somebody. I have to, and be a leader. And I don't mind taking that on because I was given a new life. Literally. I had one foot in the grave and one on the banana peel. Okay. I was getting ready to go in.
Yeah.
And the Lord said, no, not today. And he's did that so many times.
Yeah.
So many people around me, so many of my friends, my dear friends are gone. And because they just couldn't stop. They couldn't find that peace. They didn't have somebody that reached out and said, listen, call me. And I'll always answer my phone. And that's one thing that I had to learn to do because I always never answered my phone because I was always thrown in the water. So
yeah, I know because I have plenty of phone numbers I've deleted in my phone over the years. So obviously you just answered my last question because I was going to ask you the same question as the first question, which was if you could help one person overcome addiction. Now I want to change that harmful addiction. What would you tell them to get them to start today? And you said I would give them my phone number, and I think that's key here. I think learning how to reach out for help is, and it's accepting it's okay, like.
And not thinking that you're being a burden to the person. That's the thing, because a lot of us think that we're going to be a burden. Okay, you're not. Man, you're helping me stay right. You're helping me, man. And and when I get calls, it makes me feel so good to know that they trust me. Because we tell a bunch of drug addicts and drunks our deepest secrets and our deepest fears, because that's what it's all is. It's fear-based. Okay. The devil lives in fear. Okay. Faith and fear don't live in the same house, baby. Okay. Faith is rocking me. Okay. And you know what? I let me recant that. It does live in there because I need that healthy bit of fear to keep pushing me. Okay. So that healthy fear is in that basement, right?
Yeah.
But God's running that whole house, baby. And it's like knowing that when somebody calls me, if I don't have the answer, I will find them the answer. I will not. I won't bull crap them like I used to. Okay.
Right.
I used to just make something up. Now I don't have to. Now I know the truth. And when I started telling the truth, that's when my life started getting better. When I realized I didn't have to lie to be in the group, or because I was always trying to fit in. So
Right.
lying was my way to fit in.
Yeah.
I could be what you.
Yeah.
And when I learned that, it was easy for me to set things and not judge other people for where they're at, because who am I to judge? I mean, I've been through it. So I think them are the two biggest things: reaching out and knowing that you're not a burden. Because me reaching out, when I did, I helped another person. They were getting ready to go back out, and I didn't know this. But when I reached out, I helped them stay into the program. I had no clue that they were on the tipping point. And that's why God said, reach out to that person. He used me as a vessel to help them, which I had no clue.
Yeah.
I'm doing what God tells me to. And when you keep getting that same voice saying, do this, do this, do this, and it's a good thing, you might want to do it. I don't know. That's just,
yeah.
Because it's working for me. And if it can work for me, it can work for you.
Maybe work for one more person, right?
That's the thing.
Yeah,
and if I can help, it's my blessing to help them. You know, it really is. Because this disease is so strong. Like for instance, right now, my disease is in the background doing push-ups, sit-ups. It's like it's doing triathlons, man. It's getting tough. Ready for me, telling me, come on, pup. This is my dog. Telling me to come on out. It's all right. Come on, buddy. You remember me? And it's very necessary for me to have people in my life that are calling me, that I'm calling, and having that support group that I've never had, but now I do.
Yeah.
You know, and knowing that there's an answer. There is an answer, but that answer is God.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And when people say God as you think it or whatever, no, my God is Jesus Christ and the Lord. That's who saved me. So I can't say, I have to say the truth, and that's the truth.
Right.
Because if I lie about a single little thing, which I can't, that's when my snowball is going to start, and I'll start lying about other things.
Right.
I have to say the truth. My God, as I understand him, is Jesus Christ. And he will help you. He will. You just have to open the door, because the doorknob's on the inside. Okay, it's not on the outside. He's not going to open the door for you.
Right.
He'll give you, this is what I tell my boys, he'll give you all the ingredients for the cake. You just have to bake it. Okay, you got to do the actions to do it, but you'll get the ingredients. And he's like, oh, you can't ever say, well, God didn't do it. Yeah, he did. He gave you the stuff to do it. You have to walk. He's not going to take your legs and walk you. Okay, you've got to do the walking yourself. He'll give you the direction. He'll give you what you need to, you know, and the strength and the hope. And man, I never felt loved until now.
Yeah.
And for me to say that and that come out of my mouth is one of the, I've known what lust is my whole life, but love, actual love now, I know what that is, because I feel that from him, and I feel that as I give it to my son.
Yeah.
It's my cup is overflowing now into others, and that's what I'm liking about it.
Yeah.
As long as I keep getting in the fluid from the Lord to overflow my cup, it will help others. Right. It's when I stop that situation and say, I'm not going to take phone calls and I'm not going to do this and that. That's when things start getting really hazy, and you know.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. No, I get you. Hey, I do appreciate you today to want to come on here and talk through this with me a little bit, and kind of just open the doorway, open that pathway for others, if those who would be listening, or that can be shared with somebody who's listening. I personally, I understand. If there's anybody who understands, with you, I do. I've known you your whole life. You haven't known me all my life. So, But thank you so very much for coming on today.
Thanks for asking.
I do appreciate it. It's been a while since I've gotten to record, and I thought this is the right one to kind of kick things back off. For you, those of you who often watch or listen to Instinctive Influencers, I'd ask that reach out if you'd like. Obviously, Jeremy, he's saying, hey, reach out to me. For if you had addiction issues, but I'm also saying, hey, reach out if there's something you want to talk about, something you want to hear about, something that piques your interest. We've done multiple shows over all types of leadership, and I wanted to kind of take this a different avenue or approach with this show, and I do appreciate his interaction with me on this, and I would ask those of you listening or watching. Hey, please reach out, and I would love to hear what you have to say about the show. As always, we don't have James with us today, but as always, James usually kind of ends the show with like how you can reach out to us. We have multiple platforms. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on Instagram. You can catch us on Twitter. Or I'm sorry, X. You can catch us. We even have LinkedIn. You just do a search 101 Influence 101 Influence, and you'll find us. But you can watch the show on multiple platforms. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, we're on YouTube. So you find anywhere you can kind of find a podcast, you probably can find us. So, but thank you so very much thank you much, Jeremy, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
God bless.
All right. Hey, so with that, I am Brian. And this is the Instinctive Influencers podcast. So thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.